Welcome back, and this is still Daybreak Africa, coming to you from our studio right here in Ondo City, and I remain Angela Daku. And today's discussion is based on broadcasting, then and now, and particularly the need for the Society of Nigeria Broadcasters, SNB. Now, broadcasting in Nigeria has evolved significantly since its inception, reflecting technological advancement, social, political changes, and dynamic nature of media consumption. Now, the Society of Nigeria Broadcasters aims to address professional standards, advocacy, and industry regulations. Majorly, we'll be talking more about this today, the broadcasting world, how it all began, and down to what we have today. And definitely, we have with us a very, I want to call it a very unique person in the house who will be joining us to discuss this in person of Venerable Ambassador Nelson Fadoju. He is a veteran broadcaster, journalist of over 50 years, and started broadcasting with Nigeria Broadcasting Corporation, NBC, in Ibadan at the 70s. Well, for those of you who have not born then, now this is a veteran for you to see. Now he also joined OSBC Akure and deployed later to OSTV Akure. Now served as producer at that time, presenter, controller, director, and head of AM, FM, and TV of OSRC. He was retired after 35 years, and he is currently the CEO at KFM. He is also the chief media consultant of KAFTAN Media Group. Now he is a legal practitioner, a media arbitrator, amongst others, and currently the chairman of the State Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, also the treasurer, SNB Southwest Nigeria. It's such an honor to have you in the program today this morning.
Thank you very much. Viewers, good day.
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Thank you.
So now, let's begin from the inception of broadcasting in Nigeria. Talk about 1956 when it started with Nigeria Broadcasting Corporation. I'm very certain that you were well groomed about how the broadcasting field was at that time, and I'm very certain that you have seen how it has progressed since that time till the current stage we are right now. So I would like you to give us a little bit of light how broadcasting was done at that time and some of the challenges that was come across during the process.
Thank you very much, Angela, and also your co-presenter. And viewers, I thank you for watching KAFTAN Television, the only station in Nigeria. I want to thank you very much for viewers. When we look at broadcasting, even from the onset, yes, when it started, it was so rugged, because as at that time, Yoruba people will say that the eyes was still at the nail. Oju wa lorokun, this is orokun the nail. Because of that period, we don't have all the type of facilities that we have now, and so it was so rugged. We thank God that Britain, who colonized us, yes, introduced Nigeria, introduced us into broadcasting. You will recollect that what we used to call rediffusion that time, a wired box, which people pay token to connect with, also was in operation. But prior before that time, precisely in 1936 to 60s, even before the commencement of television in 1959 as established by Baba Awolowo, yes, we have been transmitting radio, but we linked up with Britain so that people who subscribed will be able to link with whatever goes on from there, on and on. In fact, that time, people call that rediffusion box as a magic box because people were amazed. That time it was new, hearing voice, unseen voice, voiceless voice, thinking that it was a miracle or a masquerade standing behind the mic talking, because they were not seen. So it was strange to Nigerians, and so they in fact at times when they call it a magic box, some people was afraid to the extent that where was this voice coming up? And you know that Marco Polo, who happened to travel through wireless something, developed what we call radio by sending signal. Even that was how radio started in the world before it got to Nigeria around 1930s and so on. So that period was so rugged, but we thank God as we proceed, we will continue to see the development that has emerged from time to time.
But I want to just ask majorly for something, because I even like the fact that I'm having a veteran actually in the studio with us today to discuss much of this. But I want to just go majorly to this. You talked about some of our historical backgrounds on the place of the broadcast field and all that, and the place of how we have, you talked about the first phase being very rough today. Now, from your own perspective, you've witnessed media for 50 years over time in Nigeria. Aside from your background in also knowing most of these things, what can you comment on the practice then and the practice now? Can we just have a bit of a juxtapose between the two aspects from your own perspective?
Thank you for that very good question, because that is the big deal. That is the main thing now. People will say the in thing. When we look at the past, even oftentimes in other spheres, we used to say that the good old days. So when they say that, I will even ask, what of today? Is today the bad days or worse? So, but really, if we really want to look at it, apart from the machine, the technology, that time, production, presentation, broadcasting generally was perfect. Was perfect. Even despite the fact that it was rugged. It was rugged because of the type of equipment that we were using that time. You see, for you to, as a producer, when I joined NBC, Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, in the 70s, which now later turned to be Radio Nigeria and FRCN. You see, if we want to go to cover an assignment, at least for an assignment, 3 officers must go. The producer, the person that will carry even the microphone, and also the person that will carry even the UA, which we now call midget. Because that time it was so heavy to the extent that yes, the producer cannot carry it, unlike now, when every staff must be multi-dimensional broadcaster, where as a broadcaster or a communicator or a journalist, you can be your producer, you can be a presenter, and at the same time you hold your mic, because all the equipment are compact and they are not as heavy as what we used to have in those days. But despite that, because the background of a broadcaster or a communicator is based on that statement that says you must be jack of all trade and master of all. Jack of all trade, you know, normally it used to be jack of all trade, master of none. But when it comes to the practice of a broadcasting or communication, if you want to be a producer, you must know it all. When I was with the NBC as a producer, even I started as a studio manager. We are being called studio manager. We are the one that is operating the machine, the camera, the everything on radio that time. But later, because of our doggedness, we were studying internally and externally, looking at how things should be done. And with obedience and loyalty, we now became master of it. In the sense that the rudiment of broadcasting must be known. Unlike today now, because you said I should just oppose it with what is happening now. That time in broadcasting, you climb a tree from the bottom to top. Unlike now, when so many people who call themselves broadcasters or communicators will want to climb a tree from the top down. It is a Herculean task, but that is how they want to do it. And when you fail to do something the way that is expected as the norm, according to the rules and the ethics, just as we have here now, the rules and regulation in broadcasting, within a station. Yes, we have in-house policy, but the main policy of broadcasting or communication, journalism, broadcasting, and so on, must be strictly adhered to and obey. Now everybody coming, they call themselves broadcaster, they call themselves everything on and on like that. That was not how. First of all, you cannot just come and be behind the mic. Even after 6 months, it will take you nothing less than 1 year, because you have to start to understudy. You have to start to know how to script. You cannot produce a program without scripting. You cannot write produce a musical program without writing musical log. And every point must be there. In fact, it must be in triplicate. One must be left with the booklet. Then one, you must have one by yourself. Another one must be given to the technical officer, who will study it and master it. And that was how we used to do it, for perfection. For perfection. And that is why, and even as a producer, as I said, that we must be jack of all trade, master of all. When you have any guest to interview or produce, you have gone to make a research. This guest, who is he? How does he look like? What is his profession? What has he been done? Either before he becomes the position that he is, or even whether he has veered into other program. It's like when you want to interview a governor or a guru, then you make a research. It is then that there was a time I was producing You and the Law. That time I've not even ventured into studying law. But when I was asking questions, people thought I was a lawyer. As at that time, You and the Law program. The same thing to even your head. When I was producing it, they thought that I was a medical doctor. That is how. When you want to produce an agricultural program, either farming, you act like a farmer. And in doing that, you should have done your homework. You script, you know the background of the topic you want to discuss, and you put them down. But today, people will just want to go into the studio and It was not like that. And that is why what we have today will not measure up to what it used to be then, even though technically it was rough, but it was better. And that is exactly what we want the present day core producers, presenters, or broadcasters, or communicators, or journalists to do, so that we'll be able to do it the way that it is done. You will see that as part of this thing now, if you are a producer or a presenter, or you are a DCA, duty continuity announcer, you must not be a drunkard. You must not. Because why? Whenever anything happens as news, the public will say we have not heard on radio or television. That is the respect they are giving us, they have for us. And it is the personnel behind that are working in the media station that they are respecting. So how then will you be as a producer, non-producer, or you appear on television, or they hear your voices on radio, and then they will say that look at him, he has fallen into gutter as a drunkard. That is why we are being watched. They are looking at us, and anybody that is being looked at should mind his step, his or her step. And we as broadcasters, yes, we are light. Broadcasting is light. Where there is no communication, the place will become dark.
Very good.
That's very true. Anyways, I'll also, out of curiosity, I would like to know how research was actually done then. Knowing the fact that we didn't have technology at that time, how did you go about researching about a particular person, especially just like a program like this, and then you want to bring a guest?
Yes.
How do you go about such research, and then other research that actually takes, time to find?
That time, even as at the 70s and so on, or even prior, before that period, you use connection. You can find out the particular of a person even from his or her street. Beside that, in the 70s, yes, there are books. You go into the library, you will still search for the person you want to interview or that you are bringing as guest. You already, and that is part of what we should take note of. You see, there is what we call program planning, quarterly programming. We do this thing on quarterly basis of 3 months. And 13 weeks make a quarter. 13 weeks make a quarter. Every week has its own topic you want to discuss under a particular program. Having sat down, itemize the 13 weeks you want to use in a quarter. You have known who you will bring up for a particular topic within that 3 months. And as for me, what I used to do is that out of a 13 weeks in a quarter, I will bring up 15 topics. Because if per adventure you are disappointed by a guest within a week or in that quarter, you will quickly replace with the extra 2 or even 3, so that they are, in order to avoid failure. Failure is common today. Continue to give excuse. It's not expected of a broadcaster or a station. It's just like you cannot tell people at the dot of 7 or 8, no, we are sorry, we cannot bring you the news for 7 o'clock belt or 8 belt. No, that is part of the recognition given to us that yes, they see us as Mr. Perfect, as Mrs. Perfect, as Miss Perfect, if you are a broadcaster, because you must go to the detail, nitty-gritty of whatever you want to do. So that research may be through books, that research may be through other friends, that research may be through other colleagues of yours within the same corporation or elsewhere. That is why we do collaboration, and that is part of what the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters is now trying to bring up now. Collaboration, doing things together. You can, somebody that is working in one station can follow up to ask somebody, another person that is working in another station. And thank God, in this period of days of GSM set, easily you can phone. So in that time, in fact, you must not mispronounce any name. Daniel Jones is there that teaches about pronunciation. So you must master all these things. But today now, look at it. People will not know even the paraphernalia or title of an Oba, or even bishops, or the ranks, even in political sphere. They misname. In fact, some presenter or announcer will call name and they will be cursing themselves. You know, in Yoruba parlance, names are deeper. They have meanings. So you must not call name negativity or negatively. Rather, names must be a contributor, positive contributor. It can be historical. It can be based on family. But today, people just think that no, name are just given. It is not like the English people now, who bear stone, who bear forest, etc. now. That is not how to do it. So, as a broadcaster, in fact, broadcasting makes all field. Just like law now. Yes, that is why we are called learned people. Because when we talk, name it any profession, it is in the law. And when there is a case pertaining to certain issue, it may be in the agricultural field, you are there. It may be in the economic field, you are there. It may be in budget, you are there. That is why even today now, before you can become a lawyer, you must pass your maths, because we also do maths.
Yeah, logic is very important.
Thank you. Exactly.
Just like you said, so I cannot agree less actually, because even Edmund Burke said it in 1931 that the media is the fourth estate of the realm, and emphasized on the very importance of media. And like you clearly stated, disinformation, misinformation is a very huge crime, especially when it comes to the ethical parts of journalism.
Yes.
But from my own end, I just want to just have a bit of clarity. What do you think is the biggest problem of the current breed of practitioners in the aspect of broadcasting as we speak? Because you made a juxtapose. You talked about the fact that a friend of mine was actually having that conversation with me, even in the movie industry, that in the olden days, they never had the gadgets that we have today, but the quality of their story was there. You talked about the fact that in the days when your the first generation down to your generation started the mass media, there was little gadgets, but there was perfection in their skill, in their in their output. But today there is more tools, less perfection. What will you say majorly is the major problem we are facing in this generation?
And also what the factors are as well.
There are many. First of all, as the Bible says, by their fruits we shall know them. Laziness. Laziness. The inability of a producer or presenter or a broadcaster to make further step to finding facts. In journalism we say facts are sacred. So it must take more than two to tango. Take extra effort. That was how I said in the beginning that people like to climb trees from the top. They don't want to take that pain. You see, when I was to be deployed from radio, when I left NBC, now FRCN, Radio Nigeria, for state, because that time we were given option, because we came from Ibadan to establish NBC, Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation at Akure. So after some years, then they said that, okay, if you want to go to any other state, either back to Lagos or to Ibadan or to Kano or to the north. But because of the fact that the state government have been monitoring some of us, quickly they jumped at us. They requested for us that no. How? Because within 2 years, they have studied us while we were with Radio Nigeria, NBC, now FRCN. They said that they needed our services to come to state to assist the state. It was because of perfection. It was because of how we took our job very seriously that time. Because as we were trained, and you see that time, one thing was responsible. Training. At NBC, now FRCN, hardly can you come to be a producer or presenter or newscaster. You will have gone to more than 2-3 training. And even that training in NBC or FRCN then, when you come back, you will earn your promotion. Even if it is a 6-month training or 1-year training. Because they believe in the training, professional training, core training that they will give you. This day we still have it at Lagos, NBC Training School or FRCN Training School, and also NTV JOS. And now I think some other stations have a training school or academy. So if you know your onion, or if you work your onion, you will try as much as possible to try to emulate. And that time, part of the training also, apart from the official one, you see, you take a radio, you put it beside yourself. At the dot of 7 or 9, if it is for television, you sat beside to watch the best newscasters, to listen to newscasters on radio with your paper. Hardly can you see me going to any place without holding a jotter and biro. Even when you are going in the street, that is part of the training. As a broadcaster, while going, you have your jotter. You must be observant, jotting things down. That will make things simpler by the time you want to write your script for a production. That is where you get the knowledge of how to put things down. And that is why today, what makes a station tick, what makes a producer tick, what makes a broadcaster or communicator tick, or a journalist tick, is your perfection on the job, how you can make research, how you can write scripts or whatever you want to do, so that you'll be able to convince the viewers or the listeners. And that is why content is very, very important. Look at it now today. What do you have? In some stations now, 70% of the programs that are coming out from a station is phone in. And most of the programs are not even subjected to the pattern and rudiment of how programs should be. There are 1001 programs. Today, you don't even have documentary. Locally produced documentaries, whereby you will leave your station, go to another state to study a topical issue, whereby, even if it is a historical matter, whereby you will sit down to write your script, to produce a very good documentary. Even if it is a discussion program like this, I said before that you have made your research about the personality you are bringing in, so that you know how to even put question to him to answer, and while answering, you will be able to deduce another question from what he has posited. That is how to do it. But today now, talks program. In those days, we used to have talks section. We used to have a music and drama section. We used to have a Yoruba section. We used to have presentation section. We used to have documentary section, on and on. But today now, anything goes. The standardization of programming is no more there. Producer will just think, hey, what am I going to discuss tomorrow? Blah, 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 blah. No, that is the essence of that program committee of 18 that I said earlier on. And that 13 weeks of a quarter that you must plan your program. And don't forget, before, when you do that, having written your 13 topics, or 14 or 15, because I said you must have about 2 or 3 extra. You will still bring it to the program, general program committee meeting, done quarterly,
so everyone
to critique it. If you are handling 3 programs or 5 programs, you have 13 topics for each of the program you are producing. And that is where schedule of duties come in. I have it here. Schedule of duties. We have it. What each person, when I was the head, you can see, even my own, who is the head. Look at my deputy. Look at the next. Look at it, the program you are doing. Look at it, on and on like that. So, when we are now gathered there, all departments must be there. Even including engineering staff, the new staff, the program staff, the commercial staff. Because we will look at the nitty-gritty, the philosophy of that program. Is it a program that you must just do? Is this a social program? Is it a religious program? Is it going to be a sponsored program that must be, yes, fully sponsored, fully or partially? We look at it because we don't just produce program. That is where marketing department comes in, or commercial department. So we look at it. Is it the type of product that will be sold to the bank or to any business organization to sponsor, like drama? No. Banks used to sponsor the drama. When in the 70s I was producing Diomono and BOA, it was sponsored by Jokes Motors then in Nowo. And even during the 25th anniversary of broadcasting in Nigeria, it was that program that represented Ondo State Broadcasting Corporation. That program that I was producing at Enugu, where that ceremony came up that time. So these are part of the thing that you must do. So at that general program committee meeting, they may reject 1 or 2 of your topics. Yeah. From the extra, you take 1 or 2 to replace. They may not reject all the 13 something, but they will ask you, how do you intend to go about these programs? If, when I am producing Sunday school, all the churches that I will use, the children are from various churches, and that time, what we do in order to create room for balance is that in Ondo State, we have 18 local government.
Yeah.
So if you want to choose any group to come and do a program in that 13 weeks, you must make one from each local government. Yeah. You may not be able to finish. The remaining local government will be the first in the following quarter. Balance. But today, no. In fact, you see people using the same girls all the time. There's no room for creativity. There's no room for variety. Then you are making people to tune off. The people we ask, is he the only person there? Is the producer not making an attempt to bring in new idea? These are the ways. So because of laziness, and not only that, today, yes, we are mobile, we have facilities, etc. But the owners are not helping matter because politics have crept in, either from the side of the government or even from private owners.
Okay, before we
they will say he who pays the piper
dictates
it too. Yes. And that one is demoralizing us. That was what I will not take. I will not take it when it comes to perfect broadcasting professionally. And when I saw it happening in one or two places that I was, no, I said I quit because I want to maintain my dignity. My dignity. People who are not broadcasters, people who don't know anything about radio or television, we want to dictate the pace. They want you to run foul. They forgot that we have police. Who is our police? NBC. If you mess up, they will be putting huge fine all the time. And that is part of what Society of Nigerian Broadcasters now is trying to solve. And for about 2-3 times now, they have taken NBC to court and we have won. And that is why now media stations have some liberty to operate, because in a situation where you said that you are going to take 25% of whatever comes in as internally generated revenue, you are killing the station. Even when you cough, they say you have seen. They charge you again. So both Bond and Society of Nigerian Broadcasters are saying, oh no, this is wrong now. Exactly. So that yes, it is good to have a body that will be controlling us, but we must do it in the very best manner.
Well, we'll continue with this discussion shortly after the break. And this is where we'll be going on for a break, particularly Go Start, a segment of Daybreak Africa produced for you to get enlightened about one business idea or the other. Well, we'll be going for that, and then when we're back, we'll continue with the discussion. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and thank you once again for staying with us. And this is still Daybreak on KAFTAN Television. And then before that short break, we were talking about broadcasting then and now, the need for Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, SNB. And this we've been discussing with our very own veteran broadcaster in person of Venerable Ambassador Nelson Fadoju. Is still in the house with us. Thank you so much for being on the program with us to discuss this wonderful topic. Well, before we went on for that very short break, you were in the line of politics and the broadcasting space. I'd like you to talk more about that. How has that progressed over time, and how has that also affected negatively the space of broadcasting?
Thank you very much. You see, people think that the moment they get to power, they can do and undo. You see, in those days, when broadcasting started, in fact, we were not on the same line with the ministry. Even the salary was quite different from that of the ministry. Because you know that in broadcasting, radio, television, it takes all day round, all week round, all month round. Hardly can people go on leave. Hardly. We cannot sleep. When I was head at OSRC, in fact, heading 3 stations, AM, FM, television. Do you know what I did? My bed here, I put AM radio here, I put FM radio here, I put television here. At every moment, I tune to AM. At every moment, FM, television, on and on. At night, my wife will say, please, I beg you, let me sleep. Please, sir, I beg, let me sleep. That is it. Let me tell you a story for you to know the importance of this job. And that is why we must be rated. I will continue to fight that broadcaster communicators must be raised higher salary-wise. I will continue because it's worth it. People who know the worth of broadcaster will know that no, they should not just be giving them peanuts at all. Because we don't have time, even after closing hour. When I close in office, as I said, and you arrive home, you are still monitoring. It is part of the job. When you produce your program, even when you have closed it from office, during the time the program will be aired, you want to monitor it to know how it goes. That is part of the program. But they have bastardized it to the extent that they are always dictating the tune, and wrongly forgetting that we have NBC code. Forgetting that we have NBC code. And at the same time, you know that in broadcasting, we don't know Saturday, Sundays.
True.
In the ministry, they don't go to office on Saturday, Sundays. Abi?
Yes.
Even during our leave time, at times you may not be given. For example, they limit us to the fact that if you want to go on leave, you cannot go in November, in December, because it is getting to Christmas time. Then you cannot even go until after January. But in the ministries, they don't do that. You can go anytime you like, on and on like that. And then you can be called, even while on leave, you can be called back. So your freedom has been taken because of the type of profession you belong, that you are. Now, this political EU is the big problem. It was a good thing because before now, the federal government took the monopoly of broadcasting. Thank God that in 1992, when private license was given to Ray Power under Dokpesi, Raymond Dokpesi, and it was followed by AIT. It was a big freedom for information because it's that time. If the government seizes, you must carry it. Anything they do, you must carry it. And we were unable to hear the other side of the story, one-sided. And that is not how news, information should flow at all. But because they made it mandatory that time also, people were afraid that, okay, if you lose your job, where do you go? You can't go to any other place because government took monopoly of broadcasting totally. Until when they now allow that, yes, state government started. In fact, the Lubo state, Lagos, Ondo, Ogun, Oyo, and then Benin, Edo, that time, during the Second Republic, it was then that they allowed for television, because that time we were using UHF, Ultra Power, on television. So the liberalization was widely open, and now private people have entered into it. But still, the aspect that also affects staff is the issue of salary, is the issue of equipment. Thank God that the founder of KAFTAN television understand the importance of it. In fact, there are many states that don't have the equipment we have in KAFTAN at all. Go to some states now, they don't have vehicle to operate, even to the extent that their stations have fallen of standard. So these are part of the effect of politics or government And they want news. They want to us to carry them, even when they are sneezing, when they are dreaming on bed. But when it comes, it's capital intensive. Radio and television is capital intensive. And Prince Adewale Adebayo understand this. And that is why he has invested much into broadcasting with KAFTAN television. And now the radio is coming up at the same time, KAFTAN radio FM. So, if the government who love to have radio and television and they want the best standard, they must create room for liberalization in the way they allow us to release news. You will know that during election, and that is part of the foundation, which they don't know. NBC will not allow it. They want you to balance it. If you bring party A, you must bring party B, you must bring party C, party D, party E. You must not favor one party and so on like that. That is part of it. But still, they want us to do it the other way. But if you are a professional to the core, don't allow for that. Keep on to the ethics, because at the end, you will be prevailed.
I want to actually ask a question because, like you said, because my question is based on the political aspects too, and media ownership, private, public. You know, if you go into the theoretical aspect of mass media, you will discover that even under the normative theories, both at the authoritarian and the libertarian and the social responsibility development, media plays a key role in all of it.
Definitely.
Any government that has to be powerful will definitely make use of their media. Even in the private owned. But in Nigeria, we're having a situation where both the private and public owned, which is the government owned, there is this kind of politicking because sometimes you can find some on the opposition, you can find some in the ruling, and many times it's kind of very difficult for the journalists to be as objective. A friend of mine even made a comment recently in a lecture, media lecture. He said, just like it is difficult to find a perfect market in economics, it's also very difficult to find a perfect media in a democracy. How do you see this statement, especially in a time where, can we really separate politics from media ownership, especially in Nigeria?
Thank you. We are working on a very tight rope. We are working on a very tight rope, especially in this type of a dispensation. As a broadcaster or journalist, we have the rules. I know that at times, human beings being what we are, we want to dance to the dictate of the owner. But the owner who was his or her onion will not want to meddle. And that is what Prince Adewale Adebayo is not doing. He doesn't. Even he doesn't want to, he doesn't come up here. He has been using other media
houses here.
Exactly. That is the type of an entrepreneur that wants his onion, that knows the nitty-gritty, probably because he's a lawyer, an international lawyer for that matter. But people who are venturing into broadcasting ownership, what they have behind their mind
is the media that will sing their praises.
I told you earlier on that even people want to be using media to fight war. No. We are to use the media for peace. That's what we call peace development in media. Even the investigative journalism. The theories you were talking about the other time are the backbone of communication and broadcasting, which we must apply to the core if we want to excel in this job. And we must tell whoever that owns the media station that please, for survival of the fittest, we must follow the rules. For survival of the fittest, the ethics must be maintained. And at the same time, if you say I should not follow, then when the big hammer comes from NBC, don't blame NBC.
Definitely.
Don't blame NBC. Because we have a rule to follow. And it is that you must work. All your calculation, all your steps, the way you do your program must be guided by the rules. Don't forget that we have percentage of children program that we must have.
Yeah.
We have percentage of religious program that we must have. We have percentage of a musical entertainment program that we must have. We have percentage of foreign programs
that we must
before long ago. In fact, what the content of our program used to be 97% foreign. But now you dare not do that, because you must promote our own indigenous program, our culture, our language, our dialect, and that is how to bring about good content. Today, our local dialect is dying. Our culture is dying. Where is the role of the media? And then this justice of 18 now, investigative journalism, you can see that journalist that went to Benin Republic to do investigative journalism to find out that people will go there within 3 months, they have earned a degree. Perfect. The role of the media as a settler, as a mediator in the field, even war field, we go there. So that is why media, broadcasters, we are not in the same pace with other professions. Yes, that is why, thank God, the fourth realm,
the fourth estate
of the realm, we are also government,
on our own.
And in our own, we are watchdog to them. That is how it should be. So in this sphere of politics, yes, people want to say that, hey, if I wrong the owner, hey, and then my appointment is terminated, where do I go? Today we have redress. Where you can go to. The Society of Nigerian Broadcasters is there. Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria is there. And for newspapers also, where I major in both print and electronic and broadcast. Yes, that is, I major in the two when it comes to writing and others like that. So there are people you can go to, and then if you mess up also, hammer can come from any of these bodies on you.
Especially to reinstate your maybe your permits for working. I want to even get to the place of understanding more about the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters actually. What do they stand to, what does journalists, broadcast journalists, growing broadcasters stand to gain from being more associated with them, or from their presence in the Nigerian media space? What are those things that with them can adjust the media space? You talk about the place of the unskilled, you talk about the place of politics, you talk about the place of government involvement, you talked about the place of even legal backings and all those things. What is the main idea and what are the goodies expected from many journalists and Nigerians at large who depends on the mass media for their daily lives and all?
Thank you. First of all, when we take a close look at some professions in the engineering, they have their professional bodies. The NBA, Nigerian Bar Association, as a body for legal practitioners. The Medical Association, NMA, is also there. Even Nigerian builders, they have theirs. Not to talk of other trade, local trade, who have association and so on like that. So the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters is not new. It was founded in 1962. In 1994, it was established with CAC, Corporate Affairs, to get our license. But for some years, it was the founding fathers of broadcasting that started it, like Baba Ambassador Yemi Farumbi, and some of the other DGs of NTAs then, and so on. They thought it fit that it is proper, because having seen other professional societies that are making it, that we must not just allow anybody to just come in. And one thing we should take note is this, because when we are talking about Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, that is the big umbrella for all communicators, all broadcasters, all journalists, all producers, all presenters in the media, in the Ministry of Information, in even the other broadcasters, communicators, wherever it may be, private, it may be with government. This is the enlarged umbrella body. Ratabu, which we used to have, and NUJ, Nigerian Union of Journalists, they are for unions. Yes, when it comes to, in fact, we can say political unions or something like that, yes, one way or the other. All this, the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters is an embracing umbrella of all. And what is it for? It is for the good and benefit of the broadcast owners and staff. I mentioned it briefly when I was talking a few minutes ago. For example, what is the role of the local government in collecting radio and television licenses? What contribution do they have for radio and television? The Society of Nigerian Broadcasters have taken it up, even up to the National Assembly, that it is not the duty of the local government to collect. It is the duty of all radio and television stations on all affiliated media houses to collect. Not only that, we have fought about 3 wars, even with NBC, that is lording it over media station, and we don't want to die. Exactly. For you to say that, okay, with the little money we are collecting, either from sponsorship, in fact, it does not measure up to what we are spending, and they say that they must be collecting 25% from the total.
Wow.
We took them to court, and the court says that no, it's never done. They should stop that. If you are going to collect percentage, it should not be on the total. We want that. Then we also want that if you sneeze, they say you have a head, go and pay 500,000, 1 million, and so on like that. How are we going to operate? Is this binding? Because said that NBC, you are not a court that will be giving rules and at the same time judging. Through Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, we have won. And that is why now liberalization, freedom is coming up gradually. And so many other. Not only that, Bono, television, during the flood, affected them. All media stations, through Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, contributed money. They are back. The same thing to even FRCN in Lagos. Fire. We contributed. We assisted. Then again, if you are wrongly dismissed from your official duty, and we find out that you have not erred, we will take it up, even legally, and so on like that. And not only that, last year, July, we were in Italy. Just last month, December, we were in Italy training. This year now they have earmarked so many trainings in America, also in Italy, in India, for broadcasters. And for people who may not be opportune to go there, and that is the more reason why owners of radio and television stations must budget for training, both locally and externally. If you want the best from staff, yes, irrespective of whatever area, either as a programmer, either as a news officer, either as a cameraman, or in engineering, or in marketing, name it, on and on like that, or in this new media. No, we must be trained locally and internationally. So these are the arrangements that have been put in place by Society of Nigerian Broadcasters and even BOM, Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, because the two of us, we are partners in progress. In fact, it was the effort of BOM along with the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters that were put together to ensure that Society of Nigerian Broadcasters that started in 1962 and was registered in 1992 with corporate affairs also continue to emerge and excel this time around. So, and then the collaboration of a team I mentioned the other time, through the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, yeah, we link up during sport. Now, in fact, yes, we register through them and bond, and then we will take some amount of money if we want to broadcast international matches, etc., or even entertainment, we do it together and we win together. That is the essence of a Society of Nigerian Broadcasters. So for professional development, for advocacy and lobbying government to do the needful, not only that, for networking and collaboration among staffers, you can even go from one station to another for training. You can go to NTA, you can go to private and so on, aided by Society of Nigerian Broadcasters and BOM, because together we are out there. When we had the very first national conference, all the DGs of media stations, name them in Nigeria, they are members. So that's the more reason why every staff should team up. You know, those state here now, I'm the chairman and also the treasurer of Society of Nigerian Broadcasters in Southwest. We have the national professors headed by a professor and vice chancellor of a university.
Wow.
Is the national president, and even we have others that headed other section of it. Okay. And the executive secretary, Dr. Yemisi Bamboshe, also is a PhD holder, is the executive secretary of Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria. Wow. He has been a broadcaster, worked in various broadcast stations, on and on like that. So we have the gurus that are in the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters. So if we cooperate with them, things will take shape sooner or later. So we are imploring all of us to be in this society so that from time to time now, what we are expected to be given, what we should get, we will get it, either in our salary, either in our training, and also how to train. And that is part of it, because you see, people don't know that there is what we call LTBB, not to be broadcast. There is what we call libel and slander.
Slander, yeah.
These are part of the things that we should know. And you know, it's affecting so many people. And that is what some of these people who call themselves professional, but they are not professional, who just do little something and they are going about saying that, yes, they are professional, they are professional. No, they don't know. It is not. Okay, what gain do you want people to have when you just get what gain? When you want to do a presentation, there are 1,001 ways of doing it. I know of somebody, which many of you will know, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. The taste of the pudding is in the eating. When we are talking about broadcasting and communication, you bring creativity to bear. Change your style. Don't be stick to something, or except you want to have a title. Like me now, no, because when I was writing, I used to be Nelly the Parrot at old Unife, now AU. Then now I'm a Ayekouto, because truth is sacred. So that is my nickname. But when it comes to you saying something that should be common, you must try to know how to create something. For example, now, we can ask, what will you do to get 10? You can say 5 plus 5. You can say 8 plus 2. You can say 5 times 2. You can say 12 minus 2. Is it not 10?
It's 10.
Creativity.
15 minus 5 is 10.
That is how to create content on radio and television.
Thank you so much for being on the program
with
us today. It was quite an honor having you around to educate.
Have you spent 15 minutes?
Of course we have already. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thanks so much, sir, for being on the program, sir.
Thanks.
And this is where we'll end the discussion for this episode of Daybreak Africa. And as usual, we have another package prepared for you. Before we say our goodbyes, do enjoy sports while we wait to say our goodbyes. Enjoy.